Hello and welcome back. So it's time to jump on the next tier 8 storyline. I think this will be a Caldari storyline. Now, so far, I do think that the Caldari storylines can be difficult, mostly because the ships that you're going to be shooting down are going to be using missiles as their primary weapon, and missiles at the moment are one of the most powerful weapons in the game. So this is a soldier's way, and this is a two-part storyline mission that will give you 65 million ISK for reward. And well, it will be interesting to see at the end what I'll get from that crate. Well then, I think it is time to begin with the storyline, and let's roll out and let's see what will happen. Now, I use a Arbitrator Covert Ops, which is a tier 7 Force Recon cruiser, a tactical cruiser, and I'll be showing you the current equipment that I use. Now, I didn't change my equipment much for this mission for the first part, and this is my PvP setup that I'll be using for the first part of this mission. During the mid part of the video, I'll be changing my fit into a armor tank, because there are going to be ships that do penetrate my shield, and there are a couple of ships that are very dangerous. But this current fit will give me around 440 DPS, which is more than enough to complete this mission. And well, let's jump to the first part. There we go. Now, when you warp in in the first room, you are going to be greeted with at least 4 tier 8 ships. Now, you have to note that in these missions all of these ships will have long range, and at the moment the battlecruisers, especially the Nagas, the assault battlecruisers, are going to have around 55 to 60 kilometer range, the normal ones that I do have here. The elite battlecruisers are going to be a problem, and while in the other storylines they might be a severe threat, in this storyline they seem to be less threatening, but at the same time they can also do a lot of damage to your ship, as you will see later on. So first I'll be targeting the frigate, because frigates can carry a disruptor and the frigates can be also very fast. That means they are going to be a primary target in a lot of situations. Now, the next secondary target will be the second closest ship, and in this case it is that cruiser. Now, my drone range at the moment is around 70 kilometers, which is more than enough to complete this mission. Later on, you will have to note that the elite battlecruisers can have up to 140 kilometer range, or should I say they have a lethal range up to 100 kilometers, but they can still hit your ship even after you reach 140 kilometers. So be careful around those, and if possible, make the elite battlecruisers your primary target. That's what I try to do. Now, the Nagas over here are going to be using missiles, and the missile range on these ships is at around 60 to 50 kilometers. That means at the moment my maximum drone control range does outperform their weapon range, and that means I can sit safely at 70 kilometers away from their weapons, which means I am not going to take any incoming damage. Now, this ship is not the perfect ship for these storylines, but I do like to try out all different ships that I can find, and I like to put them through a test to see what they are capable of. And so far I have to say the tier 7 Arbitrator Covert Ops was doing a very good job, and I do like this ship a lot. It is doing a very good job so far in both PvP and of course in the encounters. Now, I am still using my approach tactic, which means I'll approach the closest ship at 70 kilometers, then I launch drones, and then if possible I will maintain the 70 kilometer range from the target. That way I am safe from enemy weapons, and of course my drones can do very decent amount of damage, because I'll be using all 4 of the drones that the ship can hold. Now, I did take a look at the tier 9 Arbitrator Covert Ops. That ship does have one more medium slot, but besides that, the tier 9 Arbitrator Covert Ops is mostly the same to the tier 7 counterpart. And of course, when I hit tier 9, I'll be flying that ship, because so far this Covert Ops did prove itself to be very fun to fly and very effective. And of course, it does perform quite well for its price. At the moment, you can get one for around 160 million ISK. Okay, this is the second wave of enemy ships. So far, no elite ships did spawn. So that means the first two waves are going to be safe from any elite ships. In a lot of cases, I do try to make the elite ships my primary target, mostly because the elite ships are the most dangerous ships that you will encounter in these missions, and of course because they are fast, and I don't want a super fast elite battlecruiser to approach me, because who knows, they might carry disruptors, and if that's the case, then I cannot afford that ship to be even close to me. Now of course you have also to keep in mind that in the missions you will have a 240 kilometer barrier at which the rats stop following you. That means you can use the tactic to approach the barrier, and then you can wait for the enemy ships to approach you, or you can use the timeout to actually find targets that are going to be dangerous, and of course focus on them first. Okay, well, I am approaching that battlecruiser, and I do hope that they won't have enough range to hit me. Again, in most cases you don't have to worry about these ships hitting your ship, because they are using missiles, and compared to the other weapons in the other storylines, missiles do not have above 60 kilometer range. That means I am more than safe from their firepower. Now, when I compare this mission to the tier 7 Amar mission, for example, then I can say this one is easier, because you are going to be safe from the enemy weapons, because they don't have enough range. In the Amar mission, that is also tier 7, they actually do have around 75 kilometer range, and they can hit your ship even at 75 kilometers. And for that mission, it will be, when I do that mission, it will be interesting to see how the ship will perform. I do think I can avoid incoming damage with the ship's speed. My current velocity is at around 2050 meters per second, which is decent. Now of course I can also improve that with skills and with higher tier rigs, but at the moment that velocity is more than enough to keep me safe from the enemy firepower here. And of course I did increase a couple other rigs for the ship before I started to do this mission, mostly because I wasn't sure enough if 66 kilometers were enough. And turns out, if I were to have my old rigs that allowed me to have a maximum drone control range of 66 kilometers, turns out I would be actually safe at 66 kilometers. But I did increase the drone range just to be safe, and so far I have to say it is doing a very good job, and it was totally worth to get the new rigs for this ship. Well, these are the last two battlecruisers of this second wave. Now, of course, in other Caldari storylines you will encounter the tier 8 fast elite battlecruisers, which I'll be also showing you how to deal with in one of the next storylines, including the tier 10 storyline that I'll be doing very soon. Now for the tier 10 storyline, I do want to have at least 75 or 80 kilometer range, because I do remember that the elite battleships in those missions can hit my ship from at least 70 kilometers, and I just want to be safe at 75 or above, which will be also very interesting to see how that will turn out. Now, I do use Valkyrie drones, and I did notice these drones do very good damage on armors and hulls. Now of course they're not that effective on shields, but they do a decent amount of damage on hulls, and they do destroy Caldari ships very quickly. Speaking of Caldari ships, the Naga is a tier 8 assault battlecruiser. It is a very dangerous ship, and very soon I'll be trying to get one. I am hitting tier 8 soon, and when that happens, I will be getting a tier 8 battlecruiser, or who knows, I might save up for a battleship in the future. I know that battleships will be very expensive. Now, flying battleships for PvP in solo is kind of something that I would not recommend, but for missions and anomalies, I think battleships are going to do a very good job, and I am very curious to see how that will turn out. Now, at the rate, besides the assault battlecruisers, you are also going to unlock the sniper ships, the sniper cruisers, and it will be interesting to see how those will work, because I did fly the sniper destroyers. They were pretty nice. Now, how will the sniper cruisers perform? That's the question, and I will find that out very soon. Okay, so this wave did come with elite ships, and I'll make sure to focus them down first. Now, the frigates aren't the ships that are worrying me. Now, I am trying to figure out if there is a fast battlecruiser, a fast elite battlecruiser, and in this case, I do suspect the Ferox to be the one, and now I'll be trying to see if I can make the battlecruiser approach me. Now, of course, the Naga is going to be my primary target later, but if you take a look at that Ferox, you will see that the Ferox started to charge at me, full speed ahead, and yep, that is the fast elite battlecruiser that I was looking for. Now, in this mission, the fast elite battlecruiser will be that Ferox. In the other tier 8 storyline, also Caldari, it is going to be a super fast Naga. And for that ship, you can and you should be using my 240 km tactic, because that way you can launch drones at the ship while you are safe, and while the target starts to reapproach the center of the map, the drones will keep following it, and with time the drones will take out the ship. Now, I find it very interesting how the mechanics in these missions work, and I have to say I'm very thankful for that 240 km barrier that exists, because without that barrier I'd be dead a lot of times by now. But thankfully it exists, and the drones are also very powerful, and at the moment I think drones are actually the most powerful weapon in the game in terms of PvE power, because drones are highly efficient for missions and for overall storyline missions. Now, here I am sitting at the 240 km barrier. Literally I am sitting on the edge of that barrier, and as you can see, the enemies are not approaching me. They're actually returning to the center of the map, which means I can launch drones at them without them actually chase me down, which is good, because that allows me to stay safe from all of these battlecruisers, and that is the primary tactic that I use for PvE in these storyline missions, especially with drones. Now, of course, you can make any weapon work with this tactic, but drones are the most effective because their range, when they actually start orbiting the target, is unlimited. I could theoretically launch drones at that battlecruiser, and I can, for example, fly, let's say, 5,000 kilometers away from that ship. The drones would still be attacking the target even after I travel all those 5,000 kilometers. And that is one of the key points that I do love about the drones, because they're just that powerful, and at the moment people do call them overpowered, and I have to agree. Drones are indeed very strong, and of course they are also very expensive. Buying one drone that's Mark 7 at the moment feels like buying a cruiser, and trust me, it is more efficient to buy a cruiser than to buy a drone. When the faction drones arrive, I do expect their price to be at around 150 to 200 million per piece, and oh man, I have no idea how I'll get that much ISK to buy the faction drones. Now of course I know it is difficult to manufacture the drones, and of course their price is kind of justified with their performance. And for the vast majority of players, buying drones is not efficient enough. But in the end, if you have the ISK for the drones, and if you want a ship that can do storylines without any problems, then I think the drone boats are actually a very decent choice. And of course, if you have the ISK for drones, you can buy drones. They are excellent for PvE. For PvP, however, they can be good, but I think the other weapons are more efficient, especially cost efficient, because in PvP players can actually destroy your drones, and you don't want to lose for example, 150 million ISK faction drone to a player, and that can happen. So in that case, losing a drone might be more expensive than actually losing a ship. So for PvP, because players can actually shoot down your drones, I wouldn't use them. Only in a fleet, because in a fleet the enemy players do not have time to shoot down your drones, because they're going to be busy with other ships. But back to the mission now. The next target is going to be that caracal, and of course now the next target is going to be that Naga. Now pay close attention to my shield, because it will be important to see what happens to my shield around this Naga. Now these ships can hit a lot, and some of these elite ships use heavy railguns that can hit a lot. And as you can see here, I am approaching the target to launch drones. I did change my fit just to be safe, because I know that these ships can hit up to 2000 in a salvo, and I cannot tank that much damage. So I did change to my armor tank, and so far this tank did prove itself to be very efficient. It doesn't use too much capacitor, and of course it keeps the ship safe from taking too much unnecessary damage. Now I did approach, and I did leave my drones on that Naga. And now I am going to safely take distance from that elite battlecruiser to avoid taking any further damage. And of course I will leave my drones to slowly destroy that elite battlecruiser, because that's what drones do. They are, for this job, very efficient and very effective. Now you can see that I use a group armor repair, and I did put that module there to preserve my capacitor. In case my capacitor runs out, I still have one way to repair my armor, and so far it is doing the job just fine. Of course, it is not as efficient as a armor repair, but it gets the job done in this case, because I am not primarily tanking armor. I am just using my armor as a shield until I approach the ship to launch drones, and then I just take distance. So it is more of a, should I say, passive armor tank, because I am not actively repairing it all the time. But for this tactic and for the tier 8 storylines, I do have to have this fit, and in some cases I think that I can use my first fit for this mission. But just to be safe, I did change my fit, because these elite battlecruisers can do a lot of damage. Now, in this mission you are only going to have the Nagas shoot at you with railguns. The rest of the ships are going to be using missiles. The only exception is in the last wave, in the second part of this mission, where the last elite Naga will be using heavy missiles, and it will have up to 100 km range, but it will not be as dangerous as the Naga that I did have to destroy here, because the missiles for some reason did not do as much damage as the railguns did. You have to keep in mind that the Naga that is a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right of the main enemy fleet is usually the Naga that will have a lot of range. That's what I did notice. and they should be your primary target if possible. Now of course, if the elite battlecruiser is at around, let's say, 150 kilometers, and if the closest ship to you is at around 50 kilometers, then you should slowly make your way up to the elite battlecruiser, up until the point the battlecruiser is your closest target. And that's the tactic that I like to use in this case. Now this is the last ship of this wave, I think, and just to be safe, if in case there is a fourth wave, I am taking range. That's just a safety precaution that I like to do, but turns out that was unnecessary because this was the last ship of the first part of this mission. Well then, this is a two-part storyline, a change from the three-part storylines that I used to do. And well, I think after I collect the loot, I'll be jumping on the next wave. Now this is the next wave, and of course, as usual, you are going to be greeted with a lot more ships than in the first wave. And here you have at least 14 older ships, and I did destroy the frigates first because the frigates can be fast and I just don't want any interceptor flying around my cruiser. I know my cruiser is in a lot of cases faster than these ships, but I just don't want these ships to sneak up on me if I accidentally let them off guard. Okay, and thankfully these ships are very fragile, and of course these drones do a lot of damage to armors and hulls because the drones use the damage type that armors and hulls don't like, which means they are not resistant against this damage type. Now of course it takes some time to break the shields, but it is worth it because the armors and hulls do drop very fast with these drones, and of course overall drones that do use explosive damage. Now the next primary target will be that cruiser, and after that cruiser the next cruiser, and I'll make slowly my way up to the furthest away enemy ship. Now this is the second wave, and as you can see there are a couple elite ships that I will focus on. Now there is a elite Naga, and usually you can see that the ship is shooting at me with the railguns. At the moment only one ship is shooting at me with railguns, and of course in this case that is the Naga. That makes it very easy to differentiate between the other enemy ships, and of course easy to focus on. Now you can see that how that battlecruiser is a little bit to the right of the main group of enemy fleets. Oh, my apologies, that's the interceptor. I didn't see the ship icon, my apologies. You will see later on, as I approach the main group of enemy ships, how the elite battlecruiser is always a little bit away from the main group of enemy ships. And I think that is done on purpose for the player to be easier to differentiate between the ships, and of course to make the primary target easier. And of course I think it's also a smart move from the developers, and I think that is a nice touch from the developers to make those details. Now after I loot that wreck, I will be approaching to that elite battlecruiser, because that elite battlecruiser has to be shot down as soon as possible. I do not want that ship to be around because it can do a lot of damage to my ship. And as usual, the ship that represents the highest threat is usually going to be the primary target. At least that's how I like to do it. Now pay close attention to my shield. Just pay attention to my shield. I think it will be funny to see what happens to my shield. Now here I am doing the approach on that ship to drop my drones on it, and I am... oh, there we go. It's starting to do damage. Okay, that was a small hit first. It is minor shield damage. That hit was a lot more serious, and I am 72 kilometers away from it. Time to drop drones and time to take distance. Just keep an eye on my shield. It will be funny. I think it's that part where... there we go. That was a big hit. 1446 damage. Oh my god. Thankfully that's not my armor. Thankfully the shield did protect my armor from taking that hit, even though it's still not a big hit on my armor. It's still good that my shield did absorb that damage. And of course, if I think the crew member on this ship need a raise, and of course they need a new pair of pants after that massive hit from that battlecruiser. And I would need new pants as well. I did not expect to have that of a hit from that cruiser, but thankfully this ship is still indeed very fast and I can take distance very quickly. And my armor is fully repaired, the capacitor is in good condition, the drones are on the targets, and well, now I just have to wait out for the battlecruiser to go down. After that, this is I think the last elite battlecruiser in this wave, and after that battlecruiser, the rest of the ships are going to be easy targets. There we go, I got hit again from 130 kilometers. Okay, well, that battlecruiser over there is angry for some reason. Time to take even more distance, because if you get hit at 130 kilometers, then you should aim for 200 kilometers. Let's see if I can get hit from 200 kilometers. Probably not, but you never know. These ships do surprise me from time to time. I remember when I was doing the last tier 8 storyline that I recorded, I did have around, I think, 53 kilometers drone control range. It was actually a lot more dangerous to do that mission than this mission because of my lower range, but this mission is at the moment with this range very easy. Now, if I hadn't upgraded my skills and if I hadn't upgraded my ship, I think I would not be able to do this mission, because these ships do have around 60 kilometers range with the missiles, most of these ships. And I don't know if I can withstand 16 medium missiles shooting at this ship, especially at low resistances, because this ship is, after all, primarily built for DPS, not for tanking. The tank build that I have is not meant for a active tank. It is meant only to take 1 or 2 hits until you launch drones at the target. In a lot of cases, of course, when fighting the elite battlecruisers that do have long range. Well, this is the last ship of the second wave, and on to the third and final wave of this mission. Now here, again, you are going to have, I think, 3 elite ships, and of course, this time it is going to be also a elite Naga. Now that elite Naga battlecruiser is going to use missiles this time around, and don't be fooled, these missiles do have 100 kilometer range, literally. As you'll see later on, I will take damage on purpose just to show you how much damage they can do, and of course just to show you how much range these missiles can do. And of course I do that because the missiles are not going to do too much damage on the ship. Surprisingly, for some reason, the railguns did more damage to my ship than the missiles, but of course you'll see what I mean when I actually reach the elite battlecruiser. But now the primary target will be that elite MOA. Speaking of MOAs, I did take a look at the ships, and I think it will be time for me to play around with a heavy assault cruiser. Now, those ships are going to be interesting because they can have a lot of resistances, and I think it will be fun to fly those ships. Again, feel free to tell me your opinion in the comments down below. I am always reading all comments, and I do like to take advices from all of you who watch. Okay, so I did change my primary target into that Drake, because that Drake appeared to be the fastest ship for very interesting reasons. Now, the Drake is a good ship, and in these storylines they didn't perform quite well as enemy ships. The ones that I am afraid, however, are these Nagas. They are very, very dangerous ships. Now, at the moment, this Naga over here is not doing anything. It's literally just sitting there. It's not even facing my ship. and you can see how that ship is separated from the main fleet of enemy ships. It is a little bit to the right, on the lower right of the main group of enemy ships, as a sniper should be. Now, at first, honestly, I was kind of scared. I didn't know what that battlecruiser was planning, but in the end, it turns out that the ship just didn't have enough range with the missiles to hit me at 150 or 130 kilometers. However, do not approach that ship until it is the closest ship to you. Destroy first the ships that are the closest. Of course, if the Naga appears to be the closest ship to you, then make it your primary target. But if you have other ships that are closer than the elite battlecruiser, destroy them first. That's the tactic that I like to go with. And of course, let's see who the next primary target will be. I do have these two interceptors that are going to be my next target. Now I would go straight to the Naga, but I just do not want any interceptor around. All of these ships that are within 70 kilometers first are going to be destroyed. After all, I don't know, for some reason I am scared of interceptors approaching me, so I'll make sure to shoot them down first. Even though I do have a semi-armor tank fit, I am still afraid of frigates, so I will shoot them down first. And this elite battlecruiser is still not doing anything, it's just sitting there, not even facing the same direction that I am at. And honestly, that was very suspicious at first, because usually all of these ships start approach you by default. But this battlecruiser is just chilling in its corner, and it's just I don't know what it's doing actually. It's just sitting there and not doing anything. I guess it is lurking. It is lurking and hoping that it will get the chance to pop couple heavy missiles into my hull, and that's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna allow it. I am not gonna allow that to happen. Okay, the next primary will be that Condor, and I do have 3 other ships to destroy before I can reach that elite Naga. I have to say, these ships are looking very pretty, I have to be honest, and I do like the design of these assault battlecruisers. They are well designed, and I think the graphics in this game can be increased a little bit, because there is still room for extra CPU and GPU usage, but the game as it is at the moment is very pretty. Okay, well, time to jump and attack that elite Naga, and let's drop the drones when I am within the range. Okay, okay, that kind of scared me. I did not expect to see those beautiful explosions. Okay, the drones are dropped. Now I'll show you how much damage these missiles can do. If you compare the incoming damage from these missiles and the damage that I took from the Naga equipped with the railguns, this ship here is doing a lot less damage to me. Of course, it is still doing a lot of damage, but it is not nearly enough damage that I did take from the second elite battlecruiser that I was fighting. Now, of course, I'll just take a couple more hits, and let's see how much it will take for the ship to reach my armor. As you can see, I am well within, I think, 3 or 4 hits that I did receive, and still the ship did not reach my armor, which is good, because that means I could have done this mission with my DPS fit, because I can take 1 or 2 missile hits before my shield runs out, and by the time that happens I'd be already at above 100 kilometers from this ship. So in the second part, after you destroy the second elite battlecruiser, you can change your fit into your DPS fit and just snipe all of these ships at above 70 kilometers. It works just fine. Well, I think it will be slowly time for me to take range, to take 100 kilometer range, because I just don't want to take any unnecessary damage. And I will leave the drones to slowly disassemble that elite battlecruiser, because drones are excellent at doing that. And as you can see, that elite battlecruiser does have decent range, but its missile velocity is poor, and very surprisingly, the missiles cannot hit me when I move away from the enemy ship, and I did take one more hit for some weird reason, but now I should be safe from any incoming missiles. And as you can see, the Elite Naga did not do too much damage on my cruiser. Well then, now it's just a waiting game for my drones to destroy that battlecruiser, and afterwards I just need to destroy 17 more ships, and after that the mission should be completed. I have to say, this mission was fun. It is very easy to do these missions if you have very long range, of course, and it is also very easy if you have drones as your primary weapon. Drones at the moment are the most powerful PvE and encounter weapon, but of course they are not that good in PvP because of their price, and of course because they're drones, they need to travel from your ship to the enemy ship, and by the time that happens you might have to warp out, or the enemy might also have called for backup. However, they can be used in fleets, like I did in the last video. So the drones are overall a decent choice, and definitely a very powerful tool in these missions. And of course this will be the last battlecruiser that's standing. I have to say, it was indeed fun to do this mission, and I am very satisfied with the performance of this Covert ship. This might be literally the best tier 7 Covert ship at the moment. Of course, I'll be flying the other Covert ships once their modules get available, because I do want to have the target painter or the dampener in the ships that can utilize them, but at the moment those modules are not available, and you cannot use those ships to its full potential. Well, this ship is here, and it does have mostly a drone DPS bonus that I do like a lot, and of course I can utilize that. And after a long combat, the mission is finally completed. Well then, I think it will be time to see what I will get from that supply crate that I did get as a reward for completing this mission. Okay, well, this is the station where that's located at, and let's see what I will get. I'm very curious. Okay, first the market price. How much do these containers cost? Okay, well that's actually a fair price. Well then, time to open it. Let's see what's inside. I'm curious. Okay, well, cross fingers for... Oh, come on. Well, that did not end up well, didn't it? A shield fill module. A module that is equipped on the logistic ships. Okay, well, I think that's perfect for the Guardian ships. Okay, well, I think I do have one primary module for the Guardians, and I think I'll be getting a Guardian just to see how these modules will work. Well then, I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that this was helpful. Fly safe, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.